gotta be honest with you guys, huge Krogan fan. I think Krogan are one of the most fascinating, badass, and tragic species in the Mass Effect universe. Now, this is my first video, don't expect it to be perfect, but I felt really passionate. I've been doing many runs of the Mass Effects franchise, just diving into it. I've been playing it religiously for about 3 months, discovering everything. So today we're going to be talking about the Krogan and how they compare with our modern society and our history and what we have done. We're going to be diving into the story of the Krogan rebellions, the Genophage, and how their struggle actually hits way closer to real-world history than you might think. It kind of all started with the Rachni Wars. Rachni, they were like this hive mind. You actually see them in the first game. You save the last Rachni queen. And they were like these creepy alien bug-looking creatures. And they were taking over the entire galaxy. The Council, if you've played Mass Effects, you're familiar with the Council. They needed help desperately, and who better to call than a species of tough, resilient, battle-hardened warriors? The Solarians decided to, by the way, if you're unfamiliar, Solarians, the Turians, I can't remember the last of the Council species, but they're the main species in the galaxy. Obviously, humans aren't here yet, or they're not part of the Council yet. Basically, they uplifted the Krogan, gave them advanced technology, starships, and said, "We need you to save the galaxy." And the Krogan did what they did best. They destroyed the Rachni and ended the threat. I mean, it's incredible. No one else could do it. But after the war, the Krogan just didn't sit back and say, "Thanks for the medals. Great. We're so glad we can help." Their home world, Tachanka, I think that's how you say it, that's how I pronounce it, has been nuked completely into a wasteland. If you're familiar with the franchise, they completely destroyed their own world because of their ancient wars and how they existed and just being such a warlike species. So that led into them expanding. They colonized worlds. Sometimes those worlds were already occupied. And their population exploded. To the Krogan, it was survival, but to the rest of the galaxy, it looked like a serious threat. And the Council kind of overreacted. I mean, that's when the fear kicked in. They saw the Krogan as dangerous and decided they needed to be put in their place. So, cue the Krogan rebellions, a massive, bloody war across Citadel space that, is briefly referenced. You can find more information about it in the game. But essentially they'll go into details about it. I think it happened like 700 to 800 years ago, if I remember right. The Turians, they were fighting them greatly, but the military just wasn't enough to stop them. So the Turians turned and dropped the biggest biological weapon in galactic history, the Genophage. Now, the Genophage didn't just kill the Krogan. It made sure barely any Krogan were even born at all. That's and literally 1 in 1,000 pregnancies survived. Just imagine watching your people, your culture, your future just slowly wither away. And the worst part, Galaxy didn't care at all. They didn't even see it as a tragedy. It was just like, yep, it's necessary. And if you're a huge Krogan fan like me, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I fucking love the Krogan. They are amazing. Alright, now for the second part of this video. We're going to get into a little bit of some real-world comparisons that, I think we can draw between what the sci-fi story of Mass Effect versus the real-world history. The Krogan story echoes real-world history in heavy ways. First thing that really comes to mind for me is colonialism. I mean, in real life, there's tons of examples where powerful nations, you got the British, Portuguese, all the colonial powers where, these powerful nations uplifted other peoples, giving them weapons, technology, even education. but only because they needed them. I mean, and then once those groups started wanting their independence or power of their own, suddenly it became problems that needed to be controlled. Sounds a little familiar? And then there's the biological warfare aspect of it. I mean, we've seen in dark moments in history where diseases are used to intentionally weaken or wipe out populations. I mean, do you know about the smallpox blankets? I mean, that were being given out to Native Americans to wipe them out. I mean, it just wasn't about fighting armies. It was about targeting survival itself. Kind of like, the genophage. Am I right? And it even gets messier when you talk about population control. There have been real world programs, sometimes government run, that try to limit births in certain communities, not with open warfare, but with policies, forced sterilization, and other horrifying tactics. Mass Effect doesn't spell it out, but if you know your history, the genophage hits like a gut punch, because it's not just science fiction. It's a reflection of stuff humanity has actually done. And now this is a part of why I love the Krogans so much. Yeah, they're big, rough, warlike, but deep down, they're survivors. They're fighting for a future that was almost completely stolen from them. And honestly, I don't blame them for being angry. At the end of the day, for our final part here, the tragedy of the Krogan isn't just about war or survival or even politics. It's about how fear can lead people or entire civilizations to make choices that have devastating consequences. And honestly, that's what makes the Krogan my favorite species in Mass Effect. They're not just angry lizard people like some people like to joke. They're proud, loyal, stubborn survivors who keep fighting even when the whole galaxy gave up on them. There's a mirror to some of humanity's biggest mistakes, and a reminder that survival isn't just about strength, it's about hope. Now, whether you think the genophage was justified or a total war crime, I think we can all agree that the Krogan deserve better. And honestly, if we're lucky enough to get more Mass Effect games that are good, I hope we can get to see the Krogans rebuild and rise up and finally get the future they've been fighting for. Alright, well, thank you everyone for hanging out with me today. If you're a Krogan fan too, or if you got a favorite Krogan moment from the series, drop it in the comments. I would love to hear what you think. I appreciate you guys hanging out here and bearing with me for my first ever video, and until next time, or not forever.